This is Sam Piazza, and I'm interviewing Sylvia Haines on November 15th, 2008. Good morning, Ms. Haines.
Good morning, Sam.
Ma'am, where do you live?
I live outside Westminster.
And how long have you lived there?
In that house, about a year. In Westminster, I lived right outside the city of Westminster since the early 80s.
And where were you born?
I was born in Mississippi.
And how long did you stay there?
Till I was 2.
Oh, then where'd you go after that?
Washington, D.C. is where I grew up.
And tell me a little bit about your education. Where did you go to high school?
I went to high school in Washington. I went to college at Goucher in Towson.
And what was your major at Goucher?
I majored in American Civilization.
And you're going to celebrate your 50th anniversary? You just did this year?
Did this year, 50 years ago.
Now, when did you move to Carroll County?
In 1971, we came to Carroll County.
And it was you and your husband?
My husband, me, and 2 children.
2 children. And were your children educated in Carroll County?
Yes, they were.
And where'd they go to school?
They went always to school in Westminster. They went to out-of-district schools because I worked in Westminster.
Now, when you came here in 1971, where did you start working?
I worked for Carroll County Department of Social Services.
And why that? Why would you go to the social services based on the major that you had in college? It seems like a change in careers.
Well, I worked for Baltimore County Social Services, and I just transferred within the state system to Carroll County.
What got you into the social service profession?
I just wanted to work with people.
And that was a good way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
How long did you work for Baltimore County Social Services?
On and off since 1965, I guess.
And then when you came to Carroll County in 1971, you started working for the Carroll County Social Service Department.
That's right.
And what did you do for them when you started in 1971?
1971 in Carroll County, I was an emergency services case manager.
And what did an emergency services case manager do back then?
Case managed people with problems such as being evicted, no food, helping them solve their problems, emergency problems.
How long did you stay with the Carroll County Department of Social Services?
I was with Carroll County Department of Social Services till, I guess 1989 maybe.
And where'd you go after that?
To human services programs.
Is that when you started the human services programs?
HSP started in 1987. I worked with HSP while I was a state employee for a couple of years. And then I resigned from the state and went to work altogether for HSP.
And that was in 1989?
Mm-hmm.
What made you create HSP? What was the need in Carroll County that you thought was not present back then?
Well, the need has always been present. We got an RFP, request for proposal, from the state of Maryland for money to run a homeless shelter for women and children. And at that time I was running Carroll County DSS's Emergency Services Center, so we responded to the proposal request, and the state awarded us a grant to establish a shelter for homeless women and children. And we did.
Was that the first shelter in Carroll County?
Yes, it was. After a while, the state realized they were contracting with themselves, and that wouldn't do. So we all sat down together with the county and the state and DSS, and the consensus became we should start a nonprofit. So HSP was born.
And you worked with who to actually found it? Was you were the executive director?
Right.
And who else was involved in that at that time?
Sylvia Haines. From the county, it was Steve Powell. From the state, Linda Heisner was director of women's services. We all worked together. I did the grunt work of completing the documents and writing the bylaws, and that called a board of directors, and please don't ask me who was on the original board.
No, I won't ask you that.
I don't remember, but some good people came together.
Where were you located at first?
At first, when we started out, we were at 532 Baltimore Boulevard because that's where social services was. And then social services moved to 10 Distillery Drive in March of 86, I think, maybe 87. And we moved with them. We were there in borrowed space for a time. And then the county, we asked the county to give us space, and they did. They gave us space on the ground floor, and that's where HSP is today.
Now, at first, how much space were you occupying? Was it one room at first?
Oh, it was a couple rooms at first in DSS. I think maybe we had first 2 rooms and then 3 rooms, and then when we moved to Distillery Drive, we had a bigger space, but as we took on more work, we got more employees and needed more room. So we ended up on the ground floor with enough space for all the employees and to deal with the public.
Now, how long were you the executive director of HSP?
From 1987, when it started, until 2001, when I retired.
Let's talk about the growth of HSP over that time period, because it started as a fairly small organization.
Yes, it did. There were, let's see how many, there were about 5 of us working together. We were various employees. One of us was a county employee stationed at DSS. I was a state employee stationed at DSS and HSP. And then we had money to pay, I think, 3 hourly employees to run the women's shelter. And they were HSP employees then.
Was it just one homeless shelter when you first started?
When we started, our first program was the shelter for homeless women and their children. We also ran for the state, Maryland Energy Assistance Program.
And what was that? Can you explain that program?
Mm-hmm. That provides financial assistance to low-income families and individuals for winter heating costs and utility costs.
Where was the financial support coming from at the beginning?
Of HSP?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, from the state. The state gave us a grant, and Department of Social Services received our money and paid our bills. So it was the state sending state employees money and the state employees sending it out on our behalf.
But over time, of course, this grew to be a large organization. Can you explain how it grew and what other responsibilities HSP took over?
Sure. My position with the state was paid for by the county. The county government paid the state the money they paid me, and the state collected an administrative fee for that. After a while, we convinced the the county to give the money directly to HSP, and they would save some money. And they bought that. So they gave us money for my salary. For the person that was a county employee, they gave that money to us, and we got the grant from to run the women's shelter. In the meantime, the state put out other RFPs, and we responded to those as well. We had a homeless men's shelter. The county was very helpful to us. It was back in the days when Jeff Griffith was commissioner, and he helped us with community meetings in the South Carroll area, which was his home area.
So about what time are we talking about now?
I guess that must have been maybe in the early 80s, Sam.
Now, what was the need back then for a men's shelter?
We had a lot of homeless men that didn't have enough really money to rent any place. Rents are pretty high in Carroll County, and the vacancy rate is very low, so it was hard to find a place to live. We had, we used to call them the Bridge Club, the group of guys that lived under the bridge, and we were always concerned about them, that they, you know, in bad weather, there was no place for them to go. And lots of times, these folks have problems with alcohol abuse and so forth, so, and mental problems. So sometimes it's hard to get anybody to want to rent to them. So they're homeless. And we started out small in South Carroll with the Antlitzes. They had I forgot what you call it back then. Now we would call it an SRO, single room occupancy home, but that's not what we called it then. I don't remember what it was. But they, I think we had 13 beds, and we provided meals and case management and support for those 13 guys. It was always full. Lots of times Mr. and Mrs. Antlitz would let them stay on after their time in shelter was over. It was a time-limited shelter. They could stay 12 weeks.
Mostly in the wintertime?
Yeah. Well, that goes all year round. Cold weather, which came later, operates in the wintertime and is temperature triggered. Operates from November to March, basically. So it's a combination of date and time during the cold months.
I didn't mean to jump ahead, but so you had the women's shelter and then the men's shelter.
And then we got a shelter for intact families. That is, mom, dad, and the kids are sheltered all together.
What was the name of that? Was there a name for it?
Carroll County Shelter for Homeless Families.
Homeless families. And what time did that start to operate?
That was after the men's shelter, so it was early 80s, but I don't remember the date exactly.
And where was that located first?
When it first started, it was in an apartment in town here on Main Street. It now is not there. It's in a building that HSP owns on Green Street. The county commissioners gave us space for a women's shelter, an expanded women's shelter, because women's shelter at its original site had 5 bedrooms, and they were always full, and we always had a waiting list a mile long. So they gave us space in the distillery building on the top floor, and their employees helped us configure that. It was a great big empty room, and they helped us with the plan and the plumbing and the walls and the painting and the installation of a kitchen and bathrooms and so forth.
So they donated all these services to HSP?
Really, I mean, we serve their citizens, so it's the government serving its citizens. So we moved the women's shelter from Green Street to Distillery Drive, which freed up that space for intact families. And that's where they are.
Sorry. And then you continue to produce and create other programs.
Yes.
And can you tell me about some of the other programs?
Some of our other programs are the Family Support Center. That serves moms, young moms, and their children up to age 4. It teaches them, it's a developmental daycare. It teaches moms about the milestones of development, when you could expect your child to sit up, and how to be constructive about all that. It also provides some training for the moms in not only parenting skills, taking care of the baby, giving the baby a bath, but getting their GED if they don't have it, some computer learning, there's some counseling. They bring in outside people as resources for various subjects. Then we added Dad's Works, which teaches young dads, whether married to mom or not, usually they're parents of the children that are served by the Family Support Center, but not always. It teaches young dads how to be a father.
What was why did you perceive the need for these parenting skills? What made you say, well, we really need a program for both moms and dads?
Well, their the Friends of the Family, which is a nonprofit that has a lot of state and federal money, is a statewide organization that likes a family support center in each local jurisdiction. They put out an RFP to provide these needed services in Carroll County, and we got the grant. They're still the funding source, I'm sure. The Family Support Center seeks other grants to augment their services. It's, I think, a general fact that young people, young parents, don't always know what's normal for a baby. You're not born knowing how to be a mom, and many of them are young themselves. So they're really trying to provide the skills that they need.
Would you get referrals from the school systems and?
Yes, the court systems sometimes refer young dads. The schools provide referrals. You can be a self-referral if you want to. Some of our participants bring their friends because they have a lot of fun. They do fun things too.
Did you also do any type of drug rehabilitation programs?
They do drug testing now in the men's shelter. I know. I don't know whether they do it in other shelters now or not, but I know they do in the men's shelter.
Is that court-ordered drug testing?
No.
Oh.
That's we've learned the hard way that was a problem with homeless people, particularly men frequently have substance abuse problems, and we prefer that they get the treatment from an appropriate place. We're not a drug treatment facility. If they will get the treatment, we're glad to help them with their post-treatment plan and to integrate back into society, help them get a job and connected to other services they might need.
Would HSP, would they be an advocate, or are they an advocate for the mothers and fathers in the court system in some way? And then
Yes.
how's that? What would they do as to that?
If that's what they need, that's what they get. There isn't any canned plan, Sam. It's an individual, tailored plan according to what's needed. There's each participant has a benefit of a case manager who talks one-to-one with, if both parents are involved, both parents, and they make a needs assessment, a plan to get those needs met, and then they reevaluate that plan, mark their progress, and they decide on goals and so forth together, because it's their life.
Sounds to me it's almost it's similar to a social services, private social services department.
Kind of. Yeah,
because they have
kind of
case
like,
managers and they file their patients or their customers through.
kind of this. We're all in the same business.
Now you said the cold shelter was the other one.
Cold weather.
Cold weather shelter. I'm sorry.
That provides a warm place to be overnight.
When did that start?
Oh, back in the 80s. That was an exciting time. A lot of things happened during that time. We didn't want anybody to freeze to death in Carroll County, and we had to find a place for folks to get in off the street. Not everybody had such a place, so a warm place to stay, a meal, dinner, breakfast, and in really inclement weather, like if it's snowing, they can stay during the day too. There's not much program there, not many requirements. Behave in a socially acceptable way with the other people that are there. And just, it's a warm place to stay overnight. We have a place for women, a place for men, Basically, it's dormitory style. They have cots that they get out at night and put away during the day.
Is there a place for families also?
There would be, but we would divide them men and women. If they're children, I don't think we've ever had a child in the cold weather shelter. Not while I was active at HSP, but we would make some plan for them.
Well, it seems like you were very successful getting all these programs at HSP. Were there other organizations trying to get the same programs
No.
at the time?
No, not the same programs, because I don't know if you know how special it is in Carroll County. The nonprofit community really is very good at networking. They will hold hands and work on the big picture. If somebody has a specialty and I have a piece of that solution, I supply that piece. And they're not competitive at all. They're just absolutely good at networking and working together to get the needs met.
Was HSP the beginning of the nonprofit community in Carroll County back in the 80s?
Not really, no. There's always been a lot of little nonprofits, but it was an exciting time where Food Sunday was young, and they were in a space that was legally HSP space. HSP was given a walk-in refrigerator, and we didn't need it, so of course Food Sunday did, so they got the refrigerator. It's that kind of thing where if I have something you need, HSP was frequently heir to a lot of used desks, and any nonprofit that needed a desk would always come to HSP, and if we had it, they could have it. And that's just the model that has been around so many times.
I mean, does this model just rise from the ashes, so to speak, or was it?
It just happened.
It just happened, so it wasn't some formal creation of.
No.
Is there a council in Carroll County of nonprofits that meet?
There is a council of social agencies, and that's had lots of manifestations in and out over the years. It's been waxed and waned, as they say. Right now, it's very active, and they meet once a month. They talk about what's happening with their own organization, their own agency. If there's an event, they're liable to support each other. If there's a need, they state the need. If they have a job, they state the job. Whatever.
And each of the nonprofits, or many of the nonprofits, have a representative at the council,
Yes.
including HSP.
Yes.
Now they're all there's a building now. Can you talk about there was a building created or built for all these nonprofits?
Right.
Can you speak about a little bit how that came about?
The Nonprofit Center is one of two in the United States, and that's right here in little old Westminster. We have one of two, and I think that came about through some foundation money that was connected to one of the cable TV providers. I'm not real sure about that. That was sort of during the time when I was not in Carroll County. But they have this wonderful building that has offices for new, small nonprofits. I can't remember how many square feet, but a generous room. They provide support services such as phones. I think the nonprofits are there basically rent-free. They pay their own phone bills. There's copiers. There's access to the foundation library, excuse me, where they might find funding.
How long's that been around? Do you know?
I'm sorry, I can't tell you when it opened.
Oh, okay. But HSP's not in that building.
No.
Oh, because that's much larger.
HSP's too big.
Too big for that.
Yeah.
Because they have about 100 employees now?
HSP, yes, has about just under 100, I think.
During your time at HSP, did you see the needs of the community change in any way as the years went by?
Well, I think the needs have always been the same, Sam. It's still people we're dealing with. But the tools to meet those needs changed. And society took a different interest. Homeless became the popular issue back in the 80s. Read a lot about it, heard a lot about it. They made a lot of noise about it. And I think that's why the state got together some money to offer for the proposals. It's not necessarily homeless is the big issue anymore. For a while it was teenage pregnancy. I think during that era the family support centers came into being. Right now I think it's workforce development, because that's where HSP's new development is happening now. They have a new workforce development training program in conjunction with DSS.
Well, tell me a little bit about that. When you say a workforce development program, there are actually people training people in the computers, for example, and
Yes.
other career paths that they can take.
Right, and how to interview and supporting job interviews, increasing their skill set, job skills. They're trying to work with people referred by Department of Social Services.
Assisting people in actually getting jobs in the community.
Mm-hmm.
How successful has that been?
I don't know. It's a fairly new program, and I'm sorry I'm a little bit out of the loop now about the day-to-day things. I think it's a needed program. You look at the want ads, and it won't take you long today. I remember a time when the want ads were just pages and pages. Now I don't think it's one page. So employers can be very choosy about who they hire.
And this is a way to give some people a leg up on getting those jobs.
Yes. If they don't have a high school diploma, for instance, they will help them get a GED. And perhaps there's some college courses involved. I really don't know the full particulars of it, but that's basically the outline of it.
Even though you're retired, you still volunteer for HSP on occasion.
Yeah, I like to do it in the background.
And what do you do for them now that you no longer have the responsibility of running the organization?
Well, I did some data entry this week.
Oh, you did? But you enjoy doing that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just changing course a little bit. You've been in Carroll County all these years. Have you seen changes in Carroll County that you think are for the good and for the bad, or?
A lot of change. A lot more people now than when I came. A lot more traffic. Part of the good change. There's a lot more places to rent. I remember the time when my eyes would light up and I'd screech my brakes if I saw a for rent sign because they were so rare. But now, it's not that way now. You'll see a lot of for rent signs, and rents are high. When I first came, you could sometimes find rent for $200 or $375 and so forth. But now,
it's probably $1,000.
yeah, that's right. HUD came, and that helped with that situation a lot. They don't build many new apartments, but they built some. While I've been here, they built the Willow Wood Brook, or whatever they are, across from the high school. I think they built Middlebrook and some of the high-dollar ones out on New Windsor Road. And if you've heard of trickle-down economics, well, this is trickle-down housing. The folks who can afford them live there, freeing up the less expensive apartments for people with less money. HUD, of course, has been wonderfully helpful to supplement, the money the low-income people have for rent.
Other than the housing issue, and of course the population has increased dramatically since the early 70s, have you seen any other changes that you'd like to talk about?
Well, the community college has come, and that's made that a lot more accessible. It used to be Catonsville Community College, but when I first came, poor people didn't have any way to get there, and therefore it was out of reach. But with the community college right here in town, practically, it's within everybody's reach.
And most people's affordability.
Yeah. And I just can't believe they wouldn't work out some plan for somebody who desperately wanted to go there, whether they had any money or not.
Would HSP actually pay for people to go to college?
They have done that. They not necessarily to go to college, but to take some courses. Generally, it's directed for a particular job, and it's a requirement. But they've been known to do that. Yeah.
Now, I might have asked this, but HSP, do they receive any private financing, or is it all governmental
They
financing?
don't take anybody's money, Sam.
Oh, they don't take anybody's at all?
Yeah. They get federal money, state money, county money, and they get United Way money. They have some private financing. They take donations of money and stuff. They have a place they call Second Chances, which accepts donations of clothing and household goods. Couches, beds, dressers are particular treasures, chairs, and recycle those within the community at no cost to the people who receive them. They like to favor graduates of the shelters because they have nothing. Somehow homeless people are always separated from their stuff. They have clothing but no beds. So when you go out to establish a house, you have to have furniture, beds and dressers and tables and dishes. So that tries to supply those.
Let's talk about the acknowledgement of all your hard work over these years, the Sylvia Haines Award. Can you tell us how that came to be?
That's just a terrific honor for me, that the Community Services Council wanted to choose a person each year who they call it the Humanitarian Award. Well, I certainly don't think of myself as a humanitarian. That's their words. But I just can't tell you what a profound honor that is for me.
Oh, I'm sure it is. And what's the criteria for the person who gets this award?
Well, they need to be nominated, usually by their peers, and they just have to do what they do real well. And they've had various winners, from Ron Schroers from the City Department of Rec and Parks has won it. Carolyn Blanford from the City Department of Housing and Community Development has won it. Karen Ferroli from Hospice has won it. Laura Rhodes from Granite House has won it. I can't even name all of them.
How long has it been around? Since your retirement?
2001, I think, was the first year.
Do you participate in any aspect of that?
If I'm in town, I go to the awards ceremony. They usually ask me to say something.
Did you go to the last one?
I did. They don't tell me in advance who's winning, though.
Oh, so it's actually like the Academy Awards, so to speak, that you find out when you're there.
Yeah, I don't participate in the choosing.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for coming in today.
Well, my pleasure.
It's nice speaking to you.
Nice speaking to you. Thank you.
Thank you.